We on?
We are on.
That was a Kendrick Lamar reference if you don't know. But anyway.
Hi, y'all.
Yo! It is another Thursday. The last Thursday
of
October 2023.
By the time we come back next week, Halloween will be over. Hallelujah.
Remember, Halloween will be over. Well, first of all, I wasn't raised with the All Hallows Eve or none of that. I'm not mad at those who celebrate, but October is a strange month, so I'll probably be in the house. Just because. But it'll be over. And saying all that to say, just be responsible as you're outdoors
in the streets
for this day. That's not going to last that long. That's all.
Listen.
And that's all the holidays. So it's true.
It can be very anxiety producing for some people. You know,
this whole season can be anxiety producing.
From now till the end of the year can cause some anxiety if you let it. And that has become a prevalent emotion in today's society. Talk to your kids, talk to your friends, watch the news, go to a high school football game like we went to last night, and the score was 40-something to nothing. I was so secondhand embarrassed and anxious for the team that had the goose egg. It was hard. It was hard to sit there and watch that and not feel your heart race a little bit in your
sports and them game shows, y'all.
Listen,
getting involved.
Listen, anywhere you look, you can find a reason to be anxious, and most of the time, that is viewed as a negative emotion. But what if I told you that the anxiety can be harnessed into something positive? You can use that energy to redirect. You can rechannel that energy, make it something positive for personal growth and achievement. Does that sound interesting? If it does, then stick around. This episode is for you.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman.
Huzzah. Y'all know what time it is. Cheers.
We have an energy drink today. We do. Jessica's a little stronger than mine. Plus, she has two different things mixed together. She has hydrate and energy. We'll tell you about that a little later.
Anywho, welcome to Truthful Chats. Sorry, we did the clink and didn't do the other thing.
Yeah, we need energy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long evening for us, so we're just trying to prepare now. We're excited, but it's gonna be a long.
Come on, tell the people why. We're going to see a 3-hour.
We're going to see Willie Shakes. Okay, if you're not a theater person,
high school production of Hamlet.
Willie Shakes. We're excited to support our friends. We're excited.
But high schoolers doing Hamlet for 3 hours.
Willie Shakes. Willie Shakes it. So it's going to be a thing. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything. Except to say
why we're drinking.
Keep some energy.
Why we're drinking the energy drink.
But it does matter because of today's topic. Anyway, if you're new here, welcome to Truthful Chats. If you're not new here, welcome back to Truthful Chats. These are designed to get us to the ongoing practice of generational wellness. If you don't know what that term means, that's fine because we made it up. And the explanation is somewhere below wherever you're watching this video, somewhere where you're listening to us out in the world, in the audioverse. So just check it out. Truthful Chats, we do these every week. We've been doing this for all of 2023 and we'll continue to do it in 2024.
I think that deserves a clink.
It does. Consistency is the only cheat code. Thank you, Dave Shantz. Now, the actual execution of that is two different things. It's cute to say, doing this, something else. But anyway, we've been here. So Truthful Chats we do every week on our Create Generational Wellness channel. We have a theme for the month that we discuss throughout the whole month. And then Truthful Chats are every Thursday where we unpack that theme just a little bit. So it is October. What is October in Spanish? I don't know why I just thought about it right now.
You took Spanish.
October.
I took Latin.
October.
Don't mess up.
Never mind.
Don't be on here.
I don't know why I tried. It came in my. Did I put an O on the end of it?
No.
My dad I think it's October. My dad puts
An
O
O.
on. It's very embarrassing. He was in Mexico doing that, and I was like, bro, stop. Anyway, it's October in English. And the theme for this month is evolve. And today's episode is evolve your anxiety, which is what we've been talking about. So here's the thing. This is also why we be needing the energies. Getting back to this, okay? Because I don't know about you, but I'd be like, I don't feel like it. Today, every
The
day,
anxiety has
most
worn
days,
me thin.
I just want to stay in the bed and just lay down all day. Because why am I going outside except to deal with crazy driving people and a foolishness? Everyone's high, everyone's angry, everyone's upset.
Everyone has
act
guns.
Like, why are you on the road? Yeah, they shooting people again. Everybody still want to be at war.
Shout out to those people in Massachusetts. Bless them.
R.I.P. So sorry this happened to you, but you know, America, we love our guns.
So sad.
Anyway, there's a lot to be anxious about, okay? And anxiousness is not entirely a bad thing. I think it's gotten a bad rap over the last few years.
Especially since the pandemic.
And I think as mental health, like we're all trying to further understand our mental health, right? So these are all things we talk about. But anxiety is usually, we think of it as like paralyzing, right? Like you can't do anything. You don't ever want to do anything, which is true. Or, you know, like you so anxious, you curl up in a ball type thing. But anxiety is actually instinctual, right? We talk about it. I feel like we keep saying this weekly, but your brain is really just designed to keep you safe at the end of the day. So anything that helps you survive as a being on this planet, that's what your brain is going to do. Therefore, anxiety is sort of part of the package. Your brain be like, you're driving and this person is driving crazy around you or coming through the lanes or whatever. So you're going to have anxiety.
Not putting a blinker on.
And you're probably going to stop really, really abruptly. It's what happens. So these are things that instinctually your brain and your body is doing to keep you alive, which is not a bad thing. So some of that is like primal instincts of things to keep you alive. It's really natural to respond to uncertainty or things that are unfamiliar or dangerous to be in an anxious state. Like that's not normal. I think that's part of the conversation too, is we be talking about anxiety, but we always act like it's an abnormal thing or it's a bad thing, and not like I'm 36 for a reason, because I've had anxiety my entire life to get me to 36. To keep you safe, to keep me alive, right? So you know, I think that anxiety is a natural part of life, but I think we've had things, at least in recent years, that have increased our anxiousness. And this is before the pandemic. I remember when people were like, when I made the decision to not go out of the house because the shootings was getting ridiculous. Like the last time I went out for my friend's birthday, that was at a club. I sat with my back to the DJ on the stage, looking at everybody else the whole entire time I was there.
Do that.
Because I was like, y'all not gonna catch me slipping. And I was like, this the exit. Like I had a plan. Like I was like, I'm not just about to be here just kicking it. Like we still in a world where that's a thing. Like, and it's not that gun violence hasn't always been a thing, but it just seemed like in that season, everybody was mass shooting it up. And I was like, not me and not my friends.
I think that was right after the one in Florida, right? At Post.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It's been so many, just like the killing of unarmed people of color, that you lose count. But I just remember being like, I don't want to deal with that kind of anxiety. And a lot of my other friends were saying that too. They was like, I'm gonna go, but I'm going for an hour and then I'm gonna leave, because you just don't know. And then, you know, of course, the pandemic upped our anxiety, and now we all in some form of genocide, war, still mass shootings. Everybody's being some form of a-hole for the most part. Inflation, everything super high, everything super tense. You know, they be school shootings. It's just always something, right? So I think
even at the game last night, like we
had to
enter
into separate sides of the stadium.
Into separate sides of the stadium.
We had to walk around.
No way that you could, because I said, well, let me just go on this side and then I'll walk around to the side.
And they were like, no.
They were like, no. If you enter in this side, you have to stay in this side. We couldn't
pledging allegiance to this school if you
so we had to come out, walk all the way around the Rose Bowl to the other side to get in on the side that we were supposed to be on. And when we got in, we could see that there was no intermingling. Like You couldn't walk.
Because they were
you know,
like,
you
no, the
remember you
schools
used to
can't
go
intermingle.
walk over to your friends at the other school, say, hey, whatever, come back. No. Too much.
Now, I was also giving racist because I was like, this is so 96. Like, these kids, these are the Zennials. They love each other. Like, I was like,
it was really, but it was anxiety.
But it was very
producing a
much
little
like,
bit.
we don't know if you guys are going to fight each other or hit each other or the parents. I'm like, that's every game everywhere.
And your bags had to
clear
be clear.
bag policy, which she was kind of shocked about it, but I remember I went to a tour like right after COVID and I had a face mask on. But they have clear bag policies at a lot of these stadiums now because remember when people were blowing things up out of nowhere too? Like terrorism was a thing. So like it just compounded anxiety. Well, we haven't. Yeah. I'm not going to speak it out, but y'all know, y'all who were in that time of red alerts and orange alerts know what it is. So it's like compound interest, compound anxiety. Okay, over the last
a good term.
maybe
anxiety.
2-3 decades.
Yep.
And that's not counting all the other things that makes America also anxiety producing or anxiety producing. Anyway, saying all to say anxiety is very normal. And I think that the more that we start to look at the positive things
not normalize
about
it necessarily,
and the things of like, oh, anxiety is actually a helpful tool. It can really, in some respects, it can take away some of the stigma about it, because a lot of that is like hormonal and chemical, and you know, maybe in your bloodline you have a history of anxiety and depression. So it's levels, okay, to the thing at the end of the day. But I just think it's important before we launch further into discussion to also say anxiety is not always a bad thing. So keeping that in mind.
Yeah. So one of the first things you can do, of course, is to take some simple steps to identify anxiety within yourself. What are the signals? What are your triggers? How do you know when you're feeling anxious, or what does that look like for you? And for every person, it kind of looks different. So let's just talk about some ways. One way, first of all, is pay attention to your physical symptoms.
Always.
Does your heart start beating fast? Do the little hairs on your, arms stand up, as they say? You get the willy-nilly. It's like, something's not right in here, or whatever. We were at the mall. We were at the mall a few weeks ago. I was there for a conference and we were eating lunch, and a guy came in talking to himself with a backpack on, a big black backpack. And I was like, time to go. Pack up your food. Let's get out of here. Pay attention to
that actually
what
happened
changes
in the theater too.
Be aware of your surroundings.
We were doing one of our previews for the show that we just opened, and in the middle of the show, this man stood up in the middle of the scene to put his jacket on. But like everybody was kind of like, what's really going on? So you never know when you just might have to get gully. So, but that's anxiety producing.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. So pay attention to that. How you feel when something starts to happen. Pay attention to your sleep patterns. Disruptive sleep pattern. Listen, I have been in a season, which is why my eyes, the face looks like this. I've been in a season of disruptive sleep, especially in the last couple of weeks. And again, has a lot to do with the personal stuff that I've been having to do, just in terms of adulting, which sometimes can just be very anxiety producing and get on your nerves. So pay attention to that, your sleep patterns. And then the more your sleep pattern is disrupted, the more anxiety it can cause you. So now you're kind of just growing.
Because you're not sleeping on top of being anxious.
So now you're going in a circle. Pay attention to your overall immune system. Like, do you get colds a lot? Do you get COVID repeatedly? Like,
COVID is back. Pause. COVID is back out here. And I just want everyone to be aware of that, because, everybody's excited to be outside right now, which is shout out to y'all. But it's about to be the holidays and people are gathering, and just be mindful that it's super back.
Yep.
Back.
Yep. Every week for the past month, we know at least 2 people that have had COVID.
And thank God people are not dying.
As
which
readily,
is good.
Yeah.
But the long-term effects of that is not still, a lot of things are not known.
Yeah.
So, like the brain fog is really serious. I feel like we still feel like we have it sometimes. So just introducing that to your system more than once or more than like 3-4 times. I'm just saying, just be careful.
And Pay attention to how well you can focus. See that? How my brain just went?
Mm-hmm.
The focus, the brain
That's also
fog,
anxiety.
the wandering, the anxiety. Then you get anxious because you can't remember. And like, I'm getting to be older and I'm like, oh my God, am I, losing my memory? What's happening here? So that can cause you to have some anxiety. Pay attention to your thought patterns. Are they constantly negative like that one? Other than you're losing sleep. That's why you can't remember anything versus, oh my God, I'm getting old, this and da 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 da. So you just have to pay attention and try to help regulate yourself when you see yourself kind of going down these rabbit holes. And then just pay attention to your overall level of stress, what that looks like for you. It looks different for different people. My stress is, as you've heard repeatedly, when I feel like I'm not getting enough done or when I'm getting too much done. It can go either way. I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing da 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 da. I need to slow down. Or I have XYZ and XYZ to do. I'm not getting to it. Either way, I can be anxious on either side of that coin. So it's just important to recognize it so that you can figure out what's the best way for you to effectively manage it for yourself.
Yeah, and I feel like with those things, sometimes you just gotta go through the feelings. It's not gonna feel good. I'm incredibly anxious in this particular stage, and it sucks. It doesn't feel good, but at least I'm not ignoring the feelings. But I'm not gonna be like, it's a great time. It's really trash, and I'm kind of over it.
Oh,
but it's whatever. Anywho, there's really kind of like two
main ways
to deal with anxiety. So we've come to learn and use physical techniques, or our favorite thing around here, therapy, which we had sessions today. I don't know that I'll get in depth, but he did give me some things to work on, which is related to what we're talking about today. So I'll probably share that. So let's talk about some physical things. We've said them before here, but we will continue to repeat them because they're the things. There's steps. Deep breathing techniques. I feel like there's a lot of YouTube videos on these. There's also a lot of books. Like, they really are good about deep breathing techniques in yoga. So maybe do a little bit of that. Mindfulness exercises, right? That is time in meditation or just quietness. Or for me, it's listening to music. I cannot tell you how many times R&B has saved my life. Just this week. Where I was really like,
I was like, why are we listening to this album from 19 whatever?
You know what I mean? But I was like, let me put this on. What album are you talking about?
I don't know. Something you were listening to this week, and I was like, ooh, we going way back.
I mean, I'm old, so I listen to older things, but
you were on a Kendrick thing this week. You would
this because listen.
Yeah, we
I there's
Section 80, everything.
There's
you went all
never
the way back.
not time, because I was listening to it earlier in the weekend. I was like, there's never not time for Kendrick. I think it was just his Spotify playlist, but the man's catalog is extensive. What can I say?
Yeah.
Regular exercise, not the best at that in this particular season. Trying to get back to it. Y'all swear the exercise works. I don't know. Even when I was doing really good at it, I don't know that I felt great.
Yeah, you didn't seem to be experiencing all the things.
Y'all be talking about the endorphins and the runner's high and all of that. I was just tired and I was achy all the time.
and mad.
People were very impressed. They was like, look, oh my God, there's almost no fat on your body. And I was like, oh, thank you. But I'm hurting a lot all the time. And I don't know. Shout out to y'all. I'm sure it's true. Maybe I just haven't found my thing. And I think it's also because I have poor genetics in terms of hips, knees, and like, she had knee surgery. My dad is completely bionic below the waist, like hips and both knees. So
both hips, both knees.
I want to be active, but I do not want to have surgery, and it's not that serious to me. Like, it's just not. So I rather have my joints and maybe a little extra fluff or whatever, but like, you're not about to kill me about this. You're not. So anyway, shout out to y'all for the regular exercise. Sleep, one of my favorite things to do. Shout out to Trisha Hersey in the Nap Ministry. I know we live in hustle grind culture. We talked about evolve your hustle to harmony thing, but sleep is like actually very, very, very important. I know we don't like to talk about it. We could skip some nights, but if it's consistent, have y'all been watching The Changeling on the Apple TV Plus? I have my qualms about it overall, but shout out to Lakeith and them. Lack of sleep is why Emma was doing a lot of the things that she was doing. Now, they didn't quite explain some of the stuff to us, but that lack of sleep, some of y'all whole life would be better if you just took some naps and maybe we know 8 is recommended, but some of y'all like, nah, I'm up at the crack of dawn. 5 hours, 6 hours, just knock a couple hours down. But somewhere in between 5 to 6 is probably when your brain and your body will thank you, okay? Relaxation techniques. Sometimes I just lay out on the floor. I'm going to be 100 with you. Sometimes I'm just like, it's too much. Let me just lay it on the floor. I don't know if that's an actual relaxation technique, but it's
really good experience of this on this past weekend. If you live in LA, there's a place in Inglewood. Yes, we're going to give them a shout out called Black Bean.
Shout out to Black Bean.
Shout out to Black Bean in Inglewood on Remember the street? I don't know.
It's Queen.
Yeah, Queen Street. Oh my gosh, the most amazing, relaxing
Black-owned yoga space.
It's a Black-owned yoga space, female-owned yoga space. The finest yoga equipment I have ever seen.
Yeah,
the best mats, the bolsters, the blankets, whatever. Shout out, gone over there and see what you can do at Black Bean, and then start believing God for one in the valley, because that would be amazing.
It would be fun.
Changed my life. I was like, oh.
But we were there for a Support Black Theater event for Lines in the Dust, which is a production that's coming up soon. And we were talking about some of the themes of the play, which I won't spoil for the people. But a lot of the play has to do with
the stress that Black
women endure in work spaces, in
taking care of your children and education.
Taking care of your children. It's the lack of
ways to manage the anxiety.
Self-care, lack of managing anxiety on all those fronts and levels. Colorism, sexism, racism, primary caregiving, all of those things. Anyway, we learned a lot of really great techniques. We did a sound bath, which was my first time doing sound baths. I've always been here for them, but I didn't get to experience one. But it was really good and very needed. And shout out to y'all that be doing that kind of stuff every weekend, because it's important.
Healthy eating habits. After the relaxation at Being Black, we had acai bowls.
Shout out to the Evans and the Uber Tuber franchise.
Oh my God,
they were so good.
It was so good. Again, healthy eating, felt good. I don't know why when we left, we thought it was a good idea to go.
We had rallies
after that, because we were like,
well, we was trying to go to Crab Queens, but Crab Queens, we didn't know if we had time for that. Shout out to them, love them very much. But yeah, we ended up going to rallies, which is great for after concerts at the Forum in the night.
But not in the daytime after you
ate living food. And
you did yoga, you relaxed. It was like so bad. So I'm saying all that to say, try and maintain a healthy overall lifestyle. Like if you're going to eat acai, don't eat a burger after.
And it wasn't even really that we wanted it. It was just really a matter of convenience.
Yeah.
It was there. And the other place, we would have to park and get out and do things, and we had somewhere else to be. So fast food is fast for a reason.
And not good.
We immediately regretted it.
Immediately.
And the customer service was bad. And Pam was like, I'm not going to ruin
anxiety again. Yep. I was like, oh no.
It was like,
you're not about to take my Zen to argue with the little boy that works in the rallies. But
so those
saying all that to say, all of that are signs that you can see when your anxiety is being affected. If you pay attention.
So those are physical things. Professional things, therapy. Today my therapist told me I needed to work on my self-care, which he's right. So I'll be getting back to some of the techniques that help me do that, but also it's very hard to get back to what your regular is after you just got done doing a whole bunch of stuff. So I think I'm trying to navigate getting the proper amount of rest whilst gearing up to do some more work, whilst also trying to
a different kind of work.
Yeah, a different kind of work, whilst also trying to make sure I don't burn myself out at the end of the year, getting ready for the top of the year, and then feeling like I gotta continue to escalate, burning off fumes. Anyway, professional help is great in terms of therapy. And I think we talk a lot about one-on-one, but marriage counseling, like what's her face? The girl we met, Nakia, what she say she do? She like a psychologist. It's for the babies. I don't know. I don't remember what the term was that she used.
Therapeutic.
It's something to help your babies with their emotional things too.
Somatic something for babies.
So, the professional thing can go a lot of places. We just mainly focus on you, but you can be in therapeutic spaces with other people.
Okay? And we mainly talk about cognitive behavioral therapy, which we're going to talk about a little bit more in a minute. But there also are a lot of physical therapies, and not just the kind like when you hurt your knee or whatever. The therapy that we had Saturday at Being Black, it was a form of therapy, but it was more of a
Is it Black being?
Black being.
Yeah.
Sorry. Black being. It was a form of therapy. It wasn't talk therapy, but it was therapy, guided therapy in your body. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
So yes, cognitive behavioral therapy. There's some core principles which I'm going to read because I'm sure someone has copywritten these, and I don't want to be wrong. So this is a psychological practice, right? And a lot of the problems that you are facing as you use cognitive behavioral therapy to address those things have to do with faulty or unhealthy ways of thinking or unhelpful ways of thinking. So we talk a lot about patterns or themes that keep coming up or things that you keep telling yourself, right, over and over again. I be checking myself, probably not as much as I just know when I'm saying mean things to myself. That means that might mean I still say mean things to myself, but at least I'm like, that's really mean. Now I may or may not change it, but at least I'm aware. Okay. This also good. Based in learned patterns or unhelpful behavior, right? Like I said, I might be calling myself dumb today, but I don't really mean it. It's just more so a figure of speech. But it's also words are power, right? So there's a part of me that's hearing that, and I know that, and that's bad. I'll work on it, but hopefully cognitive behavioral therapy will help you unpack those things so you can start to make changes in the pattern. So maybe you say it less or not as much or not at all eventually.
Change what
and people suffering from these sorts of psychological problems can sort of, you learn how to cope, right? You learn how to do things differently over time that helps you get rid of the symptoms or the behaviors or what the thing is to hopefully be engaging in more effective, helpful practices long term. That is not a light switch situation because you have to know you're doing it to stop doing it. And then once you know you're doing it, you have to check yourself doing it enough and give yourself an alternative thing to do and do that every time in order to make it a consistent behavior.
Change the habit, yeah.
Sometimes you're not going to
change the habit.
So yes, it's pretty much a treatment that really involves making efforts to break down and change your thinking patterns. So hopefully it's helpful in terms of reframing your negative thought patterns, right?
And conversations.
That something is always wrong with you, or you're unworthy or unlovable, or which brings us to Jada Pinkett Smith. I know y'all are on her head. I know she's very take it or leave it for a lot of y'all. But if y'all ain't seen her talk to Jay Shetty, if you don't watch nothing else, okay? I know y'all like the salacious stuff. She dropped so many daggone gems in that Jay Shetty podcast.
What's the name of Jay Shetty's podcast?
The Jay Shetty podcast.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it, but I didn't know if it had another name.
No, not to my knowledge. But
that's Jay Shetty, SHETTY.
I don't think it has another name. Now you're gonna give me Googling. Anyway, support him. He's incredible. But anyway, Jada wrote a book. All the other stuff y'all care about aside, but her really putting her own journey in perspective and the things that she's overcome, which is what everybody talks about when they write a book. But just a lot of the emotional things that she was unpacking and recognizing negative patterns and wanting to change them. And so, all Hollywood things aside, she's really skilled at that. So I would encourage you to take some time. You also, in cognitive behavioral therapy, develop, again, different, and develop coping mechanisms that help you. Okay, so it's not necessarily a one size fits all thing. So just know that you're not going to have all of the same things as someone else if they're also doing cognitive behavioral therapy. And then sometimes you need medication. Okay, as I alluded to earlier, some things are chemical or hormonal or pass through your bloodline, and you might need a little something extra. Hopefully not synthetic, but natural.
Something besides the CBD therapy.
CBD is good though, but
for some people,
there's all kind of things, right?
Explore your options.
I know the Smiths was talking about the ayahuasca and the other things. I know people that took it. They was like, I love it, but I just, make sure you would train people when you do that. Don't just be like, hey y'all, we got the ayahuasca. Stuff, you need make sure someone is grounded for your trip. Don't just everybody can't be tripping. Ashwagandha is good too. There are treatments if you're not all into the synthetic medicines, but just be careful.
And as the saints will say, sometimes you just need to pray.
There's prayer and Jesus, but that don't work for all y'all. So we're whatever your path is, just be safe and
recognize you. How about this? Recognize you need a path. That's what I'm gonna say. Because some people out here trying to thug through life and I don't need nothing. I don't need nobody. I don't need no help. I don't need it. Recognize you probably need something. And everybody around you knows that you need something, perhaps, beside you. So find out what that is.
Everybody needs a path.
All right. So how can you flip the script on anxiety and not make it be a negative thing? How can you harness your powers, use your powers for good? How can you rechannel that energy so that it works for you instead of against you, right? First of all, anxiety can be a powerful motivator. We talk about flight or flight and all that kind of thing. Anxiety can cause you to do something that you might not have been thinking about doing. You're like, I got to get out of here. Or I have to change the way that I'm eating. Or I have to change the way that I'm sleeping, or I have to change something in order for me to be better.
Sorry, I lied. Jay Shetty's podcast is On Purpose.
There you go.
With Jay Shetty. Because that's the name of his book as well.
On
Purpose with Jay Shetty.
All right. Sorry. We looked that up. All right. So it can sharpen your focus. If you harness it for good, it can sharpen your focus. It can motivate you. It can help you get a plan. It can increase your productivity. It can improve your overall performance. And you use that energy to move in the right direction instead of staying stuck and being in the wrong direction.
Now, are we good at that? No. I feel like I'm gonna say I'm not good at it. I feel like I'm in a different season for it. I feel like I know how to do it at work pretty well. I don't know that I know how to do it in my personal life that well just yet.
That's an interesting observation.
But yes, because anxiety is part of the fuel for performance and things. So yeah, I think I know how to do that at work, but in real life, we're working on it.
Then that brings us to the next part where you can set a specific goal.
Yes.
And that aligns with your values and your beliefs. So your belief is that you want to be better at it.
Are you good at it?
I can be, but I can be. But here's my downfall, which is what our therapist was talking to us about today. I tend to worry talking to me about.
Okay.
It was me and all the people in my head.
About your session.
He was saying that I tend to focus more on what's best for everybody else instead of focusing on what's best for me.
I guess technically
yours is different.
Yeah, it was like
because he's telling you how to take care of yourself, and he's telling me how to take care of myself. But part of what mine was to realize.
I ain't over it now. I'm talking about that was a couple.
No, but the conversation. I'm not talking about I'm over it. I'm saying what part of my conversation was to figure out how not to put what I need for me to do in terms of this goal setting, planning my life, going into the next season, doing that. He said, I'm always thinking about what's best for everybody else instead of what's going to put me into the next place that I need to do. And hopefully everybody else comes along the way that they're supposed to. So again, right. So setting the goal, taking an action, productive, small steps, whatever, but use that anxiety to motivate you to start taking that next step. Now, the other thing is embrace the discomfort.
Embrace the discomfort. I don't know
it ain't gonna feel good. It might not feel. It does not feel good to be uncomfortable as you're making this shift and making this change. And then sometimes you even have to deliberately seek out discomfort. Like you have to do things that you know are going to make you feel uncomfortable. Like both of us are not really fond of going to networking events. It's just like, oh, do we have to?
But you know what the problem is, though, at least for us? A, we're not extroverts. That's number one. I mean, I think everybody is a little bit of both, but like we're naturally not going to talk to strangers. And I don't really like small talk. I like to have in-depth conversations.
Meaningful conversations.
So if you're not on the level, I'm not going to talk to you about the weather and whatever. You know what I mean? I'll be cordial and cool, but we moving on to the next thing. So I think that is very draining for us. And we very easily get to the point where we have people enough. And, we be trying to move on. So that is.
But for what we want to do and the way that we speak in truth, the way that we want to help people and the way that we feel like we're called to help people, we have to talk more. We do. We have to get out more. We have to expose ourselves more to what might be anxiety producing for us. So anyway, look at it. It might be a little uncomfortable, but if it's going to move you and motivate you from that anxiety, fearful place to the place of anxiety where you're producing and moving into the things you want to move into, then yes, go for that, right? Embrace failure. Sometimes, and it's getting glowy. It's like, ooh.
I don't really know what to do about this. Okay, well, this is not a filter or a special effect. This is real time. Something is happening on this side of the room.
Maybe should I take is it the light? Oh no, it's on your side.
No, girl, this is from
the outside. From the Jesus sunlight. All right. In the rainbow. I feel it. All right. Anyway, embrace failure.
See us, all right.
Maybe that light off a little bit or down a little bit. Maybe.
Let's see.
No,
that's not it.
It's not gonna happen. All right, embrace failure. Sometimes you're going to go out there, you're going to try to do something, it's not going to work. And then you're going to have to say, well, okay, let me come back and try this again from another way. View it as a learning experience, not as a setback. Get out your little journal and write what you learned from this experience and see if it's at all helpful. No, it's not.
I don't know what this is. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. I'm going to go over to the window while you're
talking. Like a whole, if you're listening,
halo.
It's like a whole halo.
I can see your halo.
Situation.
Halo.
Let me see if I do this. What happens?
Halo.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh. No! Sorry, it's like a whole glowing situation. Okay, anyway, keep talking.
So embrace the fear. Push yourself, do it anyway. You're going to get on the other side of it somehow or another.
Yeah, all right. So let's keep going. Creative expression. This is using...
I know where it is, I think. I'm going to try.
It's the opportunity to channel your anxiety into some form of positive outlet, right? I think that is maybe why I am an artist and enjoy the arts. Because it gives me a chance to take anxiety, particularly when I was little. I feel like acting did that for me. I feel like I needed less for that now. So if I do go back down that route, it would need to be for a different kind of reason. But anytime you're able to, oh, there you go, a little bit. Anytime you're able to take any anxious thoughts and channel them into some sort of creative outlet, or like I said, listening to music was on this list as well. It's taking the intensity of your emotion and fueling it into something that's positive and not destructive, which is important. Or as Kendrick Lamar's mom says on Good Kid, Mad City, tell your story to these Black and brown kids in Compton. Let them know that you was just like them, but you rose from that dark place of violence and became a positive person. Anyway, next, that was Jesus moments. Anyway, it worked. Mindful movement, right? So this is engaging in activities that get you in that mind-body connection space. Because sometimes I think
like
that's
we were
also
talking about on Saturday.
what happens on Saturday. You just be spending too much time in your head, and sometimes you just need to get out of your head and into your body. And there's a space where your brain and body meet that is not competitive. They work in tandem together.
That's good.
And I'm gonna harp on Western civilization and Christianity for a minute. Part of this is why the Eastern religions are important, because in the Western religions, and particularly in Christianity, there's a lot of deny your flesh. Your body is going to lead you to hell. So there's a lot of like disconnect for the mind and the
using
body.
your emotions to,
or just ignoring your body.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is why, no diss, but people be eating 95 plates of fried chicken.
Why are you pointing at me? I don't do that.
No, I'm saying this is one of the things that you don't like in church culture.
Yes.
You be like, how you gonna be so spiritual but be so gluttonous? We all struggle. That's not a judgment. But it's something to be said about you so concerned about your spiritual person that you're sometimes neglecting your body, your mind, your emotions, right? So I would say a lot of what we did on Saturday would be considered like, some people would have had a problem with that. You know, it was gongs and sound bowls and all of that. But those things.
And I had to talk myself off the ledge to get into it.
I do too sometimes. But you have to, that's part of the programming.
I had to be like, okay.
But it's your mind-body connection.
Jesus is right here too. He didn't leave, right? Like the bowl is going.
Nothing's going to jump on you. You know what I mean? So just pointing that out. So anyway, yoga is a part of that. I know some people disagree, but getting yourself out of your head and into your body and your mind-body connection. Problem-solving mindset, right? So instead of just dwelling on the problems, what are you going to do about the problems? And you need rest. Your mind needs rest and your body needs rest to get you to a place where you can unlock those things and in that space.
Yeah.
If you are super tired or super anxious or super scared, you're probably going to be in flight or fight response, and you're not going to have openness of mind and openness of heart for these things to come to you to be able to be like, oh, I should do this, and this. That's an ABC thing, or several steps, or you might have to plan it out for a whole year, whatever. But if you're constantly like locked up, you're not going to be able to do it. So it's channeling your energy to find innovative solutions and ways to overcome your obstacles. Embracing uncertainty. This is not something that's easy for any of us. But it is not always looking for reassurance or to be overly confident in a thing or certain.
Smoke blown up.
It's sometimes running into things that scare you or you're uncomfortable with, because it trains you to be anxious, but not to get locked in paralysis and anxiousness, but to grow yourself and grow your mindset, to feel the fear and do it.
Problem solving, all those things.
So that's a big thing. And then of course, our favorite thing, I feel like we say it every week, there's not going to be an episode where we don't talk about journaling at some capacity. I think I said I didn't have a journal. I really write things on my phone.
You do?
More so than anything, but there is something
I write
to be
things
said.
in my prayer journal book.
Yeah, there's something to be said for kinesthetically writing though sometimes. They had us like do that after the session on Saturday where we like use crayons, so you could either draw or
I drew
or write words. I wrote words.
Share mine. See, and I'm not an artist, but
you gotta
yeah, I did draw.
So, and that was a thing where they were like, hey, does anybody want to share anything afterwards? And our facilitator was like, you might not be able to verbalize it, but I want you to be able to document the experience, and sometimes that might not be in words. So maybe after you do a meditative practice or a mind-body practice or something like that, maybe just taking time to detox, and that might not always be journaling, but something where you're documenting what you've experienced.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what was very restorative for me in that process was that big box of crayons. It was like the
It's children,
108
it's
box.
play.
You know what I mean? It was like most of the time, like when you went to school, you got the 24 box of crayons if you were doing well. A lot of times you just got the 8 box, but that 108 box crayons, that 108 crayons in a box, that just
It's
did
just
something to
colors.
my
It's-
soul.
you
It was
can-
like, look, the cornflower blue, the azure blue, the this, that. It was
diversity.
It just
And
made me happy.
it unlocks your inner child and your creativity and your sense of play, because when you're so busy adulting all the time, you be forgetting that part of you exists. So it's important anyway. However journaling looked like for you, whether it's notes, kinesthetic, maybe you draw or you paint or you whatever your thing is, do that. And then speaking of on purpose with Jay Shetty, finding your purpose. Whatever that looks like, I think your journal or your notes or whatever you are doing can be a tool for that, to get you more centered and aligned with what you feel like you're still freaking alive to do at the end of the day. And that's aside from adulting and personal responsibilities of paying bills and all that stuff. A lot of that we talked about on Saturday was like reflecting about, like, aside from all that stuff, like, who are you as a being? Like, what do you think that you're here for? Like, what are you trying to put out into the world and leave behind? What is your being aside from your doing? And I think we don't talk about the difference between that a lot. And that can help alleviate your anxiety, because even if you're in anxious spaces or anxious seasons, you're able to tap into, this is an anxious space, an anxious season, and I'm going to get through it because I know that I'm here to do this thing, or
on the other side of it,
working on this thing, and anxiety is a part of that, right? So using it as a tool instead of a thing to stop you. So anyway, we said a lot of things to say. Anxiety can either be fear for you or fuel for you.
Fear or fuel. Yes.
Fear for you or fuel for you, to get you, to either hinder you from get to the next place or pushing you to get to the next place. That growth and success are possible even though anxiety arises. Anxiousness is a part of your instinct to survive, but also should not be mastering you or taking you over in a way that makes you paralyzed. It's a potential opportunity for power, for growth, to shift your perspective, to get away from negative concepts and ideologies into problem solving and positive things. But you gotta, again, put the work in to try to get there. You gotta do the preliminary stuff to get to the day by day ongoing stuff to get to now. This is just a new pattern that you have. So figuring out your coping mechanisms, whether those be physical techniques, professional therapeutic techniques with trained licensed professionals, or somebody in the group that know what they're doing. Just don't be with the homies just doing wild stuff. There should be somebody that knows what they're doing. You can manage your anxiety. You can turn it into motivation and propel you forward. But again, you got to look at where you are, to look at what's negative, to look at where you should be going. What are the things you want to change and how you want to get there? And it's within your ability to transform. Alchemy of the self is possible, but you gotta, again, put the work in. And hopefully we've given you some tools and some things to think about.
And before you make your final point, I would just like to say this as well. This will help you in all your relationships, because I'm telling you, when you put in the work, you are not willing to spend your life hanging out with people who are not putting in the work, because it feels like, I don't want to say you're wasting your time, but there's a place you're trying to go, and if people can go, and everybody cannot go, and everybody doesn't want to go,
and don't want to go.
So if you're trying to put in all this work, and you're in a relationship with somebody, or want to be in a relationship with somebody, and they are not willing to put in any work, at some point in time, y'all gonna drift apart. It will happen sooner rather than later. Might happen later rather than sooner, but the work has to get put in if you want to evolve into a well person, if you want to be healthy, if you want to have a healthy lifestyle, if you want to be about a wellness kind of life, a whole life, a life where you have peace. And if somebody
if you're trying to create a path of generational wellness,
if you're
for
trying
yourself
to
or
create
others.
that path for yourself and for others, everybody got to put in.
And maybe, I don't remember what the word for next
Train next month.
That's
Yeah,
appropriate.
the train. Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to train yourself to let people go. Number one. And there's a grieving process.
You have to train people how to treat you.
Yeah. And you have to train
your mind.
I mean, yeah, you gotta like know that part of the training is shedding parts of yourself, shedding other people. That might sound harsh, but there's a process to get into that point where you just, when you recognize somebody ain't on the level, it's okay. And there's really like no hard feelings about it. But
and not that your level is better.
Right. It's not
different.
that you're better than them. It's just that you're different.
Different.
Now, will people start to say that you're better than them?
No, they will start to say that you think you're better than them. They're not going to say that you're better. They're going to say you think you're better
than them. Which is really deflection and all kinds of things. But anyway, that's for next week. We hope that you have, and next month, we hope that we have helped you in your quest to evolve your anxiety as we are trying to evolve our anxiety. But you ain't going to know what's going on next week if you are not subscribe on the YouTubes, following us on IG, liking us on Facebook, fan base.
They keep telling us we should get on the TikTok, but we don't know. I think we're both too old, but maybe we can find a young person.
They said the people was all about the information on TikTok. I just don't be run. I don't want to run another thing. And I know that sounds irresponsible as a brand owner, but just
we'll figure it out.
just pray for it. It's already a lot. Anyway, we hope that you stay tapped in. Keep watching Glory Glow and All. And then if you're listening to
Glory Glow
and All, please subscribe, like, tell a friend, tell a friend. If you're listening to us out in the audio universe, please rate, leave a review, shoot this over to somebody. Hopefully our good friends at StreamYard her stream was acting right today. Sometimes it'd be good and sometimes I don't know.
So much.
It's a great platform. I don't know if it's our internet. Sometimes things be happening. But anyway, thank y'all for your time. We will see you next week.
Have fun.
In November. It's only 2 more months left in the year of 2023. Before we get into 2024.
No anxiety. Thank you very much.
So yeah. You get to decide what kind of anxiety you're going to subscribe to. We hope you subscribe to this channel, but you get to decide what anxiety you are not or are going to subscribe to. Anyway, with that, we'll bid you adieu, and we will see you next time.
Have a good week, you guys.
Peace.
Stay safe.
For real, though.